Let me bring Billy Allmon on. Billy Allmon, welcome to Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups. God bless you, my friend.
God bless you back. Thank you for having me on your show today.
Man, it is my pleasure. Folks, let me tell you who Billy Allmon is. Billy Allmon is a retired U.S. Navy SEAL. He served between the years 1969 and 1993. A lot of years of service. He retired as a Chief Petty Officer, and he is a combat veteran of 3 wars. While in government service, he participated in and led covert operations and numerous classified missions worldwide, and support, of course, the U.S. and foreign governments, militaries, and other official agencies. He's written an awesome book called When the Bullet Hits Your Funny Bone, The Essence of a U.S. Navy SEAL. When the Bullet Hits Your Funny Bone. So what you've done here is you've written a book about life as a Navy SEAL, but you filled it with a lot of humor, right? And some personal stories and anecdotes, right?
That's correct, because my editor... thank God that she had the moxie to print such a book.
Yeah.
But it's the humor aspect that I wanted to look at. And I think there's plenty of books out there. As a matter of fact, I really feel too many books out there that are covering all the ugliness of what guys go through in combat. And I think that's, that is the truth. It is full of ugliness, but how do you deal with it afterwards? And how do you deal with it beforehand or during the actual conflict?
Right.
And that's why I decided to write the book. And cover the humor aspect of it.
Yeah. That's a brilliant idea, Billy. Before I was in the ministry, I spent almost 10 years in Florida law enforcement, so I understand that kind of that camaraderie, that brotherhood there amongst guys that are kind of out there in harm's way all the time. And of course, there are a lot of scary stories and difficult times we did, but there's some of the funniest things when I get with some of those guys, we start telling we call them war stories, the funny things that happened when we were cops. So I can imagine Navy. So I understand you. I mean, I get your book, man. I've got your book. I've read it. It's awesome. I get it. It's hilarious. And of course, folks, I got to give a disclaimer. It's kind of PG-13 rated now. I mean, you're talking about ex-Navy SEALs, right, Billy?
Yeah, you are.
I mean, this is not something you want to give your 10-year-old.
I could, but it is what it is.
That's
story.
right. That's right. It is what it is. I was telling my wife about it the other day. I said, it's great. Billy's a great author. He's a great writer. He tells wonderful stories. I said, but it is what it is, baby. I said, it's a bunch of Navy SEALs talking about what went on and what they did and what happened and so anyway, Billy, it's great. But I do want to give that disclaimer to folks. But if you're interested in that stuff at all, you got to get this book, When the Bullet Hits Your Funny Bone. Well, Billy, let me just listen. I want to talk to you about your book. We're going to take a break in about 2 minutes.
Sure.
Then when we come back, we'll have a whole segment we can spend, and I want to get into it. But before we do, actually, what I'm going to ask you, this is in your book, and this was fascinating to me as you opened it up, giving a definition of a Navy SEAL. The history. Who is a Navy SEAL, and then you had a segment in there that just fascinated me about the thousands of people who are out there claiming that they used to be Navy SEALs, and they're not. And apparently this is somewhat of an epidemic, right?
Yes, it is. It's going on quite a bit. As a matter of fact, the FBI puts it at, before the killing of Osama bin Laden, the FBI put the statistics at 300 phony SEALs for every real SEAL that was out there.
Good gracious. Good gracious. Well, first of all, give us the definition of a Navy SEAL. I mean, we hear that all the time, but I mean, who is a SEAL? Who can be a SEAL?
A Navy SEAL is just a regular guy. He comes from any background. Number one, he's...
Well, what's the duty of it?
Well, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, what's the duty of a SEAL? I mean, as opposed to any other naval position. I mean, and what sets them apart? What's the qualifications? And what is it that a SEAL does? And tell us what SEAL stands for.
Yeah, SEAL is an acronym for sea, air, and land, the 3 areas that all Navy SEALs are trained to operate and perform their missions.
Okay.
And it's a very arduous job. It's very dynamic. It's very dangerous. Even the training, we do lose guys in training that get killed. Accidents are going to happen when you start using real explosives, real bullets, jumping out of airplanes, diving underwater. There's a lot of things that are going on, and you have to stay on top of your game all the time. And so you're always training at the very edge, so that when you actually do go into combat, you're right there, and there's no wait period or anything like that. You're already trained up, you're ready to go and face the enemy.
Well, this is an elite group. I mean, not just anyone can be a SEAL. How is one chosen to be, or do you apply for it, or are you chosen? How does that work?
You actually volunteer to join the Navy. You go through boot camp and all that, and then you go into. You say, hey, I want to be a SEAL, and of course you have to have the physical and mental attributes, to qualify as a SEAL. And then once they give you a 500, you know this from being a police officer, all the questions, that you get to make sure that you're mentally capable of, doing these things, because you don't want some screwball out there, doing, what you're going to be doing.
Oh, yeah.
And,
let me just stop and say, I get that. I went through all kind of psychological profiles and had to take a lie detector test. So now when people say, you know what, preacher, you're crazy, I can say, I've been tested.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm not. I've been tested. I am not crazy. Go ahead, Billy.
You betcha. And so you go through all those tests, and then they give you a basic entry level type examination where you have to swim a certain distance under a certain time. You have to run a mile in a certain time. You have to do a certain number of push-ups, pull-ups, all that.
Right.
All of that just to qualify to get into the training. And then once you're in the training, they'll start a class at either 100 or 120 people, and by the time it's done, there's only 30 of you left.
Right.
So the attrition rate is extremely high. And you can quit any time. It's a volunteer unit. I mean, even after you've gone into the SEALs and made it there, you can quit any time because it is voluntary.
Yeah, you can just say, hey, this is too much for me. Well, folks, listen, we're talking to Billy Allmon. We're going to take a quick time out. He has written a fantastic new book. It's called When the Bullet Hits Your Funny Bone, The Essence of a U.S. Navy SEAL. After this time out, we're going to have Billy Allmon back. I'm going to ask him some more questions about these fake SEALs. Then I'll give him to give you a taste and a tidbit of his book. I urge you to check this book out. Go to his website, BillyAllmon.com. That's B-I-L-L-Y for Billy, of course, and then A-L-L-M-O-N, Allmon, BillyAllmon.com. On the line with us is Billy Allmon. Billy Allmon is a retired U.S. Navy SEAL, retired as Chief Petty Officer, a combat veteran of 3 wars, led in various covert, I can't say that word today, covert operations and numerous classified missions worldwide. Billy, first of all, just thank you for your service. God bless you, man. You're a great American, and we appreciate it.
I'll tell you, it was a true honor of ours to serve the great people of America.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, I appreciate it, and the freedoms that we celebrate, the freedoms that I was celebrating at the top of the hour as soon as we came on. I mean, that's because of men like you that are willing to put your life out there for us. And I get to go. I'm on the radio. I say what I want. I'm going into the pulpit this Sunday. I'm preaching Jesus. I was doing a funeral today, preaching Jesus. I get to go out and share my faith with folks today, and nothing happens to me. I don't get my head cut off. I don't get thrown in prison. It's because of guys like you. God bless you, Billy Allmon.
Well, can't do it without the support of the people.
Well,
that's
you got
really
it.
Paramount.
You've got it from our audience. I can tell you that. Well, let me say this now. Tell us very quickly about the fake SEALs, and because then I want to give you time to give us some kind of a story out of your book.
Yeah,
but what can we do?
Really
How can you?
Phenomenon that's out there, and what it is a real SEAL will never tell you that he's a SEAL. You just don't go around saying, hey, I'm a SEAL, look at me, this is what I've done, and these are the things I'm doing, because you're putting lives in jeopardy, yourself in jeopardy when you do those things. Right. So, when somebody will ask you, oh, you're in the military? Yeah, I am, or I was. What did you do in the military? Well, I was in the service. I was in the Navy.
The Navy.
Oh, yeah? What did you do in the Navy? Well, I was, going to various ports or going out to sea and things like that. You never get a guy that is a SEAL or was a SEAL to come out and say, I was a Navy SEAL.
Right, stick his chest out. Yeah.
And you just don't go around bragging about it. And I don't know, it's maybe you just feel really, compassionate about your job or secretive about your job. And a lot of times it's just because, you feel a little, I'm trying to search for the word, but you just feel, I don't know, it's like you just don't want to brag about things that you have done because of the serious nature of everything that you have done on behalf of your country. So you don't go around bragging about it. And, these guys that are going around saying, "Yeah, I'm a SEAL. I did this. I did that. I was over here. We did all these things. Yeah, I'm the one that shot this guy or that guy." I mean, come on. You really don't do that. And in all truth, there's a lot of Army guys out there and Marines that are the same way. I never hear them bragging about missions that they did.
Right.
They just don't do it.
Right.
You deep down inside, you have a little bit of guilt for what you've done, because everybody that you've ever killed in combat was somebody's father, somebody's brother,
right.
somebody's uncle, cousin,
right.
Somebody's child.
Right.
So the thing is that you never try to rationalize war, because it's an ugly business and it should always be your last resort.
Right.
But these are the things that, really make me cock my head when I'm in a bar and I hear somebody saying, "Yeah, I was a SEAL. I did this and that." No,
right.
And I'm looking down there and I go, "I know this guy."
Yeah.
It's not.
How can somebody find out? You say in your book that you can get their name, and then they've got an identification number, and there's a website that you can go and actually put that in to see if they actually were. So
Exactly.
and said most people that don't know they have ID numbers, they couldn't give you a number. They couldn't give you a fake number. So tell us how
everybody graduates with a class number. Everybody goes through a class in training. It's a BUDS training class. In the early days, it was underwater demolition training, UDTRA. But for the most part, everybody knows BUDS. So you ask them, what is their name and what class did they graduate in? That's all. You never forget your class. You just don't. It's like part of your name.
So then how do you check them out?
DNA, so you'll never forget it. So you get those two things, and you go online and you look up a guy named Don Shipley, Shipley. He's got a Facebook page, but he will verify within 1 week, tell you exactly if this person is or not in the SEAL database. He maintains all the records of everybody that has actually graduated from UDT SEAL training.
Wow. Give us the name of that guy again.
Don, D-O-N, Shipley, Shipley.
Okay, Don Shipley. Okay, well, that's good information to know. Listen, very quickly, we've only got about a minute and a half, but give us your give us a minute and a half story.
In my book?
Yeah.
Well, we use humor as a safety valve, for releasing the tension and the horrors and things like that we see in combat. And a lot of times, if we're on downtime, what we'll do is we'll sit around and we'll play jokes on each other. And this particular one was with a guy in our platoon who was afraid of losing his hair. And I never got the big deal about losing your hair, because it's who you are on the inside, not the outside.
Right.
But anyway, he bought, before he went down into this area where we were doing a lot of missions, was 3 bottles of hair grow tonic. And so he would massage it in, rinse it out, massage it in, rinse it out, and at night he'd take a little dab, leave it in overnight, and then, rinse it out in the shower in the morning. So I went out in town and I bought some neat hair remover.
No, you didn't.
And I dumped this neat hair remover inside all his bottles of hair grow tonic, and he started using it. And, of course, the next day he came to me with a handful of hair in his hands. He's going, "I'm losing all my hair. What's causing this?" And I go, "You know what's causing that? It's your nerves. What you need to do is go to the doctor and get some tranquilizers to help you get a good sleep at night." He goes, "You think that'll work?" I go, "Oh, yeah, that'll work." Well, he never stopped using this stuff, and he went totally bald. And, of course, I told the doctor so he would give him placebos and not take the tranquilizers.
Right.
So we all had a good laugh about it.
Yeah, and guys mess with each other like that a lot. That's a funny story. Billy, I'm going to have you back and tell us much more about your life, your career, and your book. Will you come back on with us sometime soon?
It would be a true honor for me to come back.
I'm going to have you back, Billy, but right now we got to take a time out. But folks, go to BillyAllmon.com, BillyAllmon.com. Get his book, When the Bullet Hits Your Funny Bone. You don't want to miss that book. When the Bullet Hits Your Funny Bone, The Essence of a U.S. Navy SEAL. Now, again, I'm reminding you, it's PG-13 rated. You need to know that. But Billy's a great guy. Billy, we thank you for your service. God bless you.